All right, we are on Workbook Lesson 117 of A Course in Miracles. This is part of review number 3, and there are 2 lessons per day. And today is for morning and evening review. We'll just read it and then we'll talk about it. Number 1, paragraph 1, this is lesson 103. God being love is also happiness. God being love is also happiness. Let me remember love is happiness and nothing else brings joy. And so I choose to entertain no substitutes for love. All right, and then paragraph 2, lesson 104. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. I seek what what belongs to me in truth. Commentary. Love is my heritage, and with it joy. These are the gifts my Father gave to me. I would accept all that is mine in truth. And then on the hour, each hour, and the beginning of the hour, God being love is also happiness. So you remind yourself, God being love is also happiness. And then on the half hour, I seek but what belongs to me in truth. All right, so let's read each of these again, and we'll just talk a little bit about each one, and we'll try to see if there's anything interesting that we can find in these short commentaries that Jesus gives. So the first one is God being love is also happiness. And then the commentary, first of all, the idea that God is love, that is in the Gospel of John, right? I'm not sure if it's in the other Gospels, but we see that, I believe, first in the Gospel of John, that God is love, right? And this is something that you hear a lot in Christian communities, that God is love. Now, the problem with the Bible, or what you might say, some people have found problematic, is that God does not always seem to be loving in the Bible. For example, in the Old Testament, you have various places where God seems to be cruel, vengeful, wrathful, play favorites, has the chosen people, and other people are not in the inner circle. And sometimes, like in the book of Joshua, where Joshua goes in and destroys Jericho, he's supposed to not leave any women, children, or animals alive, apparently. Things like that. We'd have to look at those exact verses to be clear about what it's saying. And then some people have said that, well, the God of the New Testament is not the same God as the God of the Old Testament. It's a different God, which is kind of crazy to think that there could be a different God. But, maybe that's possible. But if it is a different God, God still seems to be problematic. If you look at the book of Revelation, it's problematic. Jesus sometimes also says and does things which seem to be a little off, and sometimes cruel, like cursing the fig tree, that does not bear fruit in a season where it's not supposed to bear fruit. Unless you understand that passage, those kinds of passages more metaphorically or allegorically, which I tend to think is probably the more correct reading. But God being love, God is love. This idea is all throughout A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles does not present God as being otherwise, right? First of all, in A Course in Miracles, there's no narrative, there's no story that's being told. There's no history. So things will stay above the fray, so to speak, because God, we don't hear about God's attributes in A Course in Miracles. We just hear that God is love, and that includes happiness, and that includes joy, and that includes peace. So I hope that helped a little bit. How A Course in Miracles could be seen as a correction to the idea that God is something other than love, right? It's bringing a correction. It's saying, no, God is only love. God does not have any cruelty. God does not have any vengeance or wrath or anything like that. Those are things of this world, and those are things that we can transcend, right? We can live without those things, because we are created as God created us. We are as love created us. If we are as love created us, then love is only kind. Love is only joyful. Love is not angry and vengeful and wrathful, etc., etc. So let me remember, love is happiness, and nothing else brings joy. So happiness and joy are essentially the same thing here, right? Let me remember, love is happiness, and nothing else brings joy. And so I choose to entertain no substitutes for love. So we entertain no substitutes for love. That means we don't let thoughts come in that are not loving, right? We don't attach to thoughts or entertain thoughts that are egoic, right? That are of separation, that are of division, and of anything other than love. And I think it's hard to believe that we could be that way, right? That it's hard to believe that we could be in this world. It's hard to believe that we could be in this world and be loving all the time. Now, that doesn't mean that we might have to do things. I'm not saying that we will, but I'm just saying, in theory at least, you might do something that seems unloving on the surface, but is coming from a place of love. I've been talking about the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, I have to correct this. The Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna basically tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, you must fight this battle, you must kill. But do it from a place of love and understanding, and not from hate and anger and vengeance. He doesn't say it in quite those terms, but I think that's what the implication is. So we don't have to entertain or attach to thoughts that are not loving. We do not have to, and I think as we do that more and more, as we attach or entertain only the loving, non-judgmental, forgiving thoughts, compassionate thoughts, kind thoughts, our words and our actions also will follow. And our reality will become a much more kinder reality as a result. And so hopefully we will not even find ourselves in those kinds of situations. One thing I read, which I thought was interesting, that Gary Renard brought up in one of his books, was that he's never owned a gun or had need of a gun. Now, I think there is something to the idea that if you go around preparing to defend yourself, you might be more likely to have to defend yourself. And if you go around, not feeling like you're going to have to defend yourself or protect yourself, you probably will not have to. You know, the Yoga Sutra says something similar, which is that if you practice ahimsa, which means non-harm, non-violence, non-injury, you will get to a point where things are naturally not harmful around you, right? You create a kind of energy field such that you do not experience harm. And that again, that's hard to believe. That's hard to believe that is possible. But I think from my experience, it's true. As you change your mind, as you change your consciousness, as your consciousness transforms, as the darkness, as you let in the light more and more, things do become lighter. And you just have to do this practice to see how that works, right? No one can, no words can tell you what it is. You have to experience it for yourself. So, love is happiness, and nothing else brings joy. And so I choose to entertain no substitutes for love. So I don't need to do anything that is not of love. That's the bottom line. I don't have to sell myself short, right? I don't have to do things out of fear. I don't have to live in fear or act out of fear or make choices out of fear. That's what the ego, that's what the ego's agenda is, but I do not have to follow that agenda, and the ego is very persuasive in that way. But I can unlearn that, right? I can unlearn that conditioning. So anyway, next one. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. So what does belong to me in truth? Jesus says, love. Love is my heritage, and with a joy. So love and joy. And joy is also happiness. So I seek what belongs to me in truth, and that is love, that is joy, that is happiness, that is peace. These are the gifts my Father gave to me. I would accept all that is mine in truth. Right? These all just wait for my acceptance. The thing is that I have been not accepting them, right? I've been pushing them away. I've been avoiding them, generally unconsciously. I've been not allowing myself to experience my heritage, which is love, which is happiness, joy, peace. Why? Because I'm afraid. Because I've been so conditioned to see things the way that I see them, in the limited way that I see them, that I fear what is not familiar to me. But what is not familiar in this case is actually very natural, and that is love. Love is the most natural thing. And the egoic conditioning is the most unnatural thing. And there's a part of us that knows that. There's a part of us that even though we are in our egoic conditioning, we still know that. It's not that we don't know that. We do know that on a deeper level. And that's the part of us that is saying there's got to be another way, right? It's the part of us that's saying there's got to be some way out of here. Said the Joker to the thief, right? That's Bob Dylan. There's got to be a way, right? There has to be some way to get clear of this. And that's our deeper prompting or deeper urging of you could say of Spirit or the Holy Spirit within ourselves, which says, surely you can't be happy with how things are right now, right? Surely this is not working out. This is not, this can't be right. I heard this great song by Jesse Wells. He's a really brilliant songwriter. He's getting very popular right now. Check him out on YouTube. Jesse Wells, his song is called That Can't Be Right. That can't be right. the ego can't be right. You know, we know that. We all know that. But everyone has their own timeline as to when they're going to get fed up with it and say, you know, there's got to be another way. Can't be right, and there's got to be another way. Anyway, I think that's good. I'm going to do a couple other videos today. One is going to be on the perennial philosophy perennis in Latin, and Aldous Huxley. And I'll probably do one other video on a poem by Helen Schuckman. It's one of my favorite poems by her. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for listening, tuning in. Love to hear your comments. I always love feedback. I like to hear, you know, if it's helping you. And yeah, you can always ask me anything, tell me anything. I'm really, you know, you can't you know, upset me. tell it like it is. And we'll see you soon. Lesson 118 coming at you next. God's peace and joy are mine, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.